Welcome to the City of Eureka Springs BOZA and Planning Commission meeting, Tuesday, May the 11th, 2021. Ferguson, since we don't have a secretary, would you do the roll call, please?
I will. Ann?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
Jody? Absent. Mickey?
Here.
And myself, Ferguson, is present. So we have 4 commissioners present.
Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes, if anybody has any changes, recommendations, please speak now or get a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as listed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, we're going to go on into the Board of Zoning Adjustment. A motion to approve the agenda. We have one item.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're going to go to public comments. And I have 3 people on here, and I'm guessing that all 3 of you are here for this agenda item? Yes. Okay, Steve Vowell. And you will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm here to speak on behalf of Julie Shelton, who is a neighbor, adjoining property owner next to the property whose owner is requesting the variance. I placed a packet on the table that has a number of pictures. If you could pick that up, I have one for each of you. This project has basically been off the rails since it started. I'm a little bit mystified by a couple of things. Number one, first of all, how the house got placed in the position that it's in to begin with, because the request for variance asks, I believe, for a 30-inch variance. I don't know where Mr. Collin came up with that, because he needs about a 8.5-foot variance to be in compliance. If you look at the back of the packet, the last 6 pages are photographs. We stretched a string line, a tight string line, from survey pin to survey pin to mark the boundaries of this property. And the boundaries are the same as described in the deeds where the property was sold to the present owner. And if you look at the first photograph, that shows the distance from the corner of this front porch to the property line to be 42 inches. Not to the setback line, to the property line. The second photograph is another picture of the front porch looking down the side of the house away from the street. The third photograph is another picture of the same side of the house, the off-street side, and shows the actual property line marked by orange tape and a string line. And you can see at the back of the house they've started building a deck. The next picture shows one of the pillars for the deck, the one nearest to the front porch. It is 32 inches from the property line. The next photograph shows the back corner.
Sir, I'm going to have to stop you there, but I can tell you that when I bring you up on the agenda item, I'll let you continue.
I'm sorry? Oh, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
For public comment, I can bring you back up when we get to the agenda item.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Joe, is it Fast?
I'm a property owner adjacent to the north side, on number 2 Wheeler is my address. So I just am here kind of looking over what the city has done and how compliance is being handled, because I hope to build a home on my piece of property soon. So my curiosity and my interest in this meeting is to find out how things are being dealt with and handled, so it's a learning experience for me. I just see some of these pictures because I've been to the property myself, and I mean, the house and some of its parts are on the property line with no holdback whatsoever. So if we've got a 5 and 10 foot holdback, depending on what it is, it's way out of compliance. But anyway, that's my comment, is just so that I'm here to learn and how these things proceed. So not necessarily negative or positive, just learning from the situation and how it will be dealt with when I build. So.
Okay, thank you. Nancy Bink.
Nancy Bennick,
Bennett, I'm
and
sorry.
I live across the street at Three Wheeler. From the very beginning of this project, Northwest Arkansas Housing Authority paid no respect to any property line. At the time, the property owner of the adjacent property wasn't around to defend their property line. The foundation got put in. It was clearly not within code, and the city okayed it. And I don't know how that went through. And there's been nothing but problems since with the front porch and then the deck and then the deck again, and et cetera, on and on. In fact, at this point in time, there's a water meter that's in the ground that's for this property, and it's over on the adjacent property. And if they'd paid attention, or if they knew where the property lines were, they could have just as easily put it in on their property. Anyway, so I just don't see how any of this is fair to the adjacent property. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go on to new business, which is the setback variance for Northwest Housing Authority and Roger Walker at 4 Wheeler Street. I would, before Mr. Val, I bring you back up, I would like to hear from the Northwest Housing Authority if they're here.
He's in the car in the parking lot. Can I get him? Oh, there. Oh, there he is.
Yes, come on down. Could you identify yourself, please?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Cliff Collin, Construction Coordinator, Northwest Regional Housing Authority.
You mind removing your mask because it's going to be a lot easier to hear you?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you explain to me, I'm not really familiar with this program, and tell me how this started?
This started back when Mr. Walker applied for eligibility to build a house with our program.
And is this the first one in Eureka Springs?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went through the right process through Bobby Ray,
Yes, ma'am.
all the building permits, and has he been there throughout this process to approve?
Yes, ma'am. I was issued a building permit and a certificate of appropriateness by the city of Eureka Springs.
And when were you first notified on the variance?
Upon construction of the home. We knew when we laid the house out on the property that we were encroaching the setbacks by 2.7 feet. At that point, I notified the building inspector of Eureka Springs, Mr. Bobby Ray, to please inspect the layout of the home prior to the dig, and I have an email in my possession stating that he approved its location.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add at this point?
Other than the fact until the property sold, the neighbors accompanying the property that bordered the house and the project were fine with the situation.
So when you started the project, the property next door was owned by someone else and then it sold?
Yes, ma'am.
And how far along you were with the project before it sold?
We were starting to install sewer, water, electric. The house was built in the dry.
Okay. Okay, thank you. You can have a seat, and I may call you back up in a minute.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Val, if you'd like to come back up.
Well, first of all, Bobby Ray may have been there on occasion. If he was there, he certainly wasn't doing his job. Mr. Collins says that he was granted a variance. There has been no variance granted anywhere by anybody. I'm not sure, and in fact, I don't think Bobby Ray has the authority to grant a variance. The ordinances of the city of Eureka Springs say that the building inspector must keep a written record of all his actions. He hasn't granted a variance, certainly not a written variance. If you will continue on with the photographs, just look at actually the last photograph in the packet, if you would, and I'll give you a little chronological history. This dispute started back last July when the project first started, and Bobby Ray and Ms. Shelton and had a conversation about the project and whether or not the setback lines were going to be observed and whatnot. And if you'll see the last numbered page of the packet, JS 024, that's a text that Bobby sent, and the very last portion of it says that the owners of the property in question have been in contact with me. They have not decided the actual location of the structure at this time. I have advised them of the requirements prior to any construction. So I'm assuming he advised them that there had to be a 10-foot setback. I don't know, but in any event, the builders then started building the house. They got all the way, got it all framed in, got it sided, put the front porch on, and the front porch came up right to the property line, if not maybe over it. So there was a meeting on the property between Bobby Ray, L.J. Smoley, who was on the Planning Commission at that time, and Ms. Shelton. And if you look at page JS 023, it memorializes what happened that day. And basically it says that there were, and this is from Bobby saying there was an agreement between L.J. and myself that if a full front deck were to be built, it would need the variance. If the owner decides to go with a lesser length deck, it would not be required. There was no variance given by me to the contractor. We spoke about the proposed deck, and that's why the decision on its size has not been made yet. Julie and I also discussed the tree cut permit issue. It was my understanding at that time that there was no further information needed. And then to talk about the access, in any event, this email is September 17th, 2020. What had happened at that time is the front porch had been built right up to, on the property line. They were instructed that they were either going to have to take the porch off or move it back, or they could start the porch at the front door and run it towards the street. The porch as it existed ran all the way across the front of the house, and the left front corner encroached over the property line. So the builder took the front porch completely off. Then they put the porch back on and built it in its present location, where the left front corner of it is 32 inches from the actual property line. While In the meantime, then they start building a deck on the side of the house. And the plans do call for a 4x4 small deck to connect to an access ramp going along the side of the house. Well, instead of doing it in that fashion, the builder built a deck that actually extended out over onto Julie's property, Miss Shelton's property. If you look at the last photograph, you see at the end of that, looks like a 2x8 laying there underneath the boundary line. There's a little indentation. That was actually where the support post for the deck was before they were made to take it off. So they take that deck off and they put the present deck on, which is still in violation of the setback line. Then they go around behind and add a deck on the back, which was never even part of the plans that were approved by the commission. So after the front porch was rebuilt, again in violation of the setbacks, Ms. Shelton again complained and wrote an email to Mr. Ray, copied L.J. Smoley and others, and Ms. Smoley replied, and that's on page JS020, "I'm upset that the owner did not abide by our agreement concerning the setback and will check to see how it slipped past Bobby. Also, we'll check with Glenna about a plan change." And Ms. Shelton replied, "Thank you. I've gone through all the meetings for planning and variance and anything like that online and have not found one issue of change of variance. I have not found any paperwork on them adding this deck under the back of the house. I really appreciate all you can do. This is frustrating and upsetting. This is why we have rules in the historic district. I appreciate all your help with this. I don't seem to be getting any help at all from Bobby Ray." That email was back April 5th of this year.
Okay, Mr. Val, I'm going to ask you to stop now. We're going to open up for discussion amongst the commissioners, and if they have any questions, they're free to ask you.
Thank you.
Motion to discuss?
I make a motion that we discuss this variance request.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody have any questions?
Okay.
Mickey, go ahead.
I'm just curious, how big is this piece of property, house size-wise? I mean, you know, is this a little itty-bitty, teeny-weeny little piece of land? Or is it a nice-sized piece of land? Whomever.
Are you talking about the property the house is being built on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you look at the...
Because, I mean, I'm looking at pictures, and they're not telling me a lot.
Look at our packet, the application.
It is 0.17 acres, 7,200 square feet.
This is what they bought.
Okay, so I guess then that takes my question to, why is the house being built so close to any of the property lines?
The house is too big for the lot.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, the size of the lot. I'm horrible with numbers like that.
Well,
So it is a small piece of land.
Yes, 1/1700ths of an acre.
Okay, that means nothing to me.
It
Give me a
could-
baseball field size or a football field size.
I see. It could have been built in such a fashion that the setback lines would not have been violated. It is big enough to do that, but it was not. It was placed
Okay.
incorrectly on the lot.
Okay, but it is a small piece of land. Okay, thank you. That's my question.
Yeah, my concern again is, we've got obviously a lot of issues. I mean, looking through the documentation, the original proposed problem here with the setback request is that we're apparently already way past that number as far as the property encroachment. So my thing is, I don't know, I'm almost, that the building permit is in jeopardy, in my opinion, but that's my opinion. So that's all I've got to say about it.
Tom, do you have anything? Nikki?
Okay, there was, Bobby Ray had done a letter, I've been through so many now, I lost it, saying that there were two different measurements done and they did not agree. In my 50 years here, I have noticed that's happened a whole lot.
Right.
Has this been verified since?
May I address that?
Yeah, whomever has an answer.
Bobby Ray, find the date, sent that on April 13th of this year because the owner had gone and hired this McCutcheon, I believe it is, yes, McCutcheon. McCutcheon didn't do a survey, he just did a drawing of the lot. He used the very same pins that had always been there and that were used to describe the property when Penny Carroll sold it to the present owners. He just located the pins, and as I said, the very same pins that you'll see in those photographs mark the lines. How in the world he put the house where he did, I don't know, but he drew the house, and that's on JS012 page. He shows the house. I mean, he had no idea what he was doing. He shows that there's a 7.5 foot setback line. And he shows the left front corner of the house on that setback line. I suppose that's why only a 30-inch variance was requested, because 7.5 foot plus 2.5 foot would be 10. But as you can see from the photographs, that corner of the house was 32 inches from the actual property line.
Okay, now my question is, how can there be two separate surveys that don't agree that are being ignored?
They do agree. It's just that
It says, after research for both these and registered surveys by himself and Glenna, the conclusion, which shows a recent survey in February of 21 by a registered surveyor, the survey shows the structure to be approximately 15 feet from the property line. The requirement is 10 feet. There has been a dispute from the being of two different surveys that dispute one another. This is a civil issue between property owners. Now, like I started, I've been here nearly 50 years. I have seen this come up so many times. I haven't heard anybody addressing this issue, and it seems to me the issue should start with the two surveys. And the surveys would determine which is correct and if there's a violation or not, because if you have two different surveys that dispute one another, one is obviously wrong, if not both. They both could be off by several feet. It needs to be looked at in that regard, because that seems to be the biggest problem.
if I may, there are two surveys. They are different in the respect that they were done by two different people. They both show the same boundary lines.
That's not what it says.
I know that's not what it says, but
they
that's...
dispute one another.
There's only a dispute in Bobby Ray's mind.
Can we have Bobby Ray answer questions?
Yeah, Bobby Ray unfortunately can't make it tonight. I have a question, and I'm going to make a recommendation. Is this about the decks or about the house?
The house is where it is. It's in violation. There's nothing, I mean, we're not asking that they move the house. We were asked that they be required to move the front porch just like they were told to do originally, so that it starts at the door and goes towards the street. That they remove the deck on the side of the house. They can put it on the street side of the house. If you look at the house plan, they can just move it across on the other side. And we request that they remove the back deck. It was never even approved by the commission. It's on there, and it's in violation of the setback as well.
Well, first of all, you mentioned that Laura Jo Smollett was there for the Planning Commission. This never came to the Planning Commission. So you, as one commissioner, you can't say this is what you're going to have to do. It has to come before all of us, and it never did. The second thing I would like to do, since Bobby Ray cannot be here tonight, I'd like to see about the possibility of a site visit to go out there and have him answer some of these questions before we make a vote on this.
Yeah, we've got to get this dispute settled.
Any discussion on that?
No, I'm all for it.
So,
I would
Get
very
a
much
motion?
like for you to do so.
Excuse me just a second.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's another gentleman that would like to speak for just a moment.
I have some further documentation that may help shed some light on this to the panel.
Sure, come on up.
For the record, Northwest Regional never came into the city of Eureka Springs with malicious intent. We came in here simply to provide a home for Mr. Roger Walker. We've done everything the city of Eureka Springs has asked us to do to the letter. I have documentation in front of me to prove that. We were issued a building permit. We were issued a certificate of appropriateness to build within your city. We have proof that the survey you're looking at reflects the front left corner of the home being within 2.7 foot of the setbacks. Never denied it. I'm the one who made the phone call to have Mr. Ray come out and inspect the footing before we dug it. He was there the day we dug it. He was there the day we poured it to inspect that it was done properly. All the while knowing that this 2.7 feet was an encroachment. At this time, I'd like to submit the original plat to the city of Eureka, that is your paperwork, that shows that Owl Street is actually my adjoining property, not the acreage in question. So we have a dispute right here that caused a little bit of conflict. I never once tried to deny that the house was within the setbacks by a total of 2.7 foot on the front porch. Mr. Ray did approve its location prior to the dig, per this email. However, after the house was built, we were informed that the variance that was granted to me verbally was not legitimate and that we would have to do it this way. So I requested the paperwork on this on September 9th of last year to get this done. Was never submitted the paperwork or told that I was needed to follow through with this process. As a matter of fact, it was the recommendation of the city of Eureka Springs that I simply cut 3 foot off my front porch, which I did. I received a certificate of appropriateness from the city to not only cut that 3 foot down, but to reuse that lumber to relocate the side deck, which was also in a conflict with the variance, to the rear of the home. I have that certificate of appropriateness right here. So we were granted permission to move that deck. And we were granted permission to reduce the size of the front porch, which we did by a total of 3 foot, not 2.7. Those pins are closer to my front porch now than they were when we reduced the size of the front porch. Now, I'm not standing here trying to stir waves, but would it not be odd for me to request of my laborers to go do that work and still be in non-compliance? I just ask that these factors be considered. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Could I say one more thing about the survey?
I'll give you 1 minute.
Okay. The survey at JS012, that's the one that is attached to Bobby's email where he says there's 2 conflicting surveys. If you will look at those pins that are on, you see each corner or each time the line changes direction, there's a pin. And now, beside each pin, it says EX 1/2 inch IP. That means existing 1/2-inch iron pin. Those are the pins that were put in when Penny Carroll surveyed the property and sold it. And that is the property description that these people bought. So this surveyor used the same pins to draw the property lines. I don't know how they got him to do it, but he drew the house further away from the property line than it is by about 4 feet.
Thank you.
Yeah, we definitely need Bobby.
Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion that we defer voting on the setback variance until we have a chance to do a walkthrough on the site and review directly with Bobby Ray the situation.
A second.
I'd like to put a condition on that. I think this has gone on long enough. I think, Glenna, what I'd like to try to do is get the site visit done at least by the end of this week or next week so we can call a special meeting and not have anybody that don't have to wait 4 weeks on this.
I agree with that.
So I approve that addendum. Nikki?
Yes.
Okay.
I re-second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Tom?
I'm going to abstain. I've been doing legal work for Northwest Regional Housing Authority for about a year now on their multifamily projects. There's nothing to do with this project at all, but since I am doing work for them, I don't want to be in the position of having to.
Since we wouldn't have a quorum, you could go ahead and vote simply to have this looked into.
Just to
It
do a
has-
site visit
Yeah.
and
Okay.
a special meeting. We're not voting on approval
Okay, that's
tonight.
fine.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Which it appears we wouldn't have had a quorum anyway. Okay, so what we're going to do is schedule a site visit to go out and look at the property. Have Bobby Ray be there so we can ask him specific questions. And then we will set a special meeting as soon as we can to come back just for this one topic.
Could I get some parameters of best times for you all to have the site visit?
For this instant, I'm open.
Right. Yeah, I'll make time.
I can make time.
Anytime but tomorrow morning.
Well, I don't think I'll have it done by then.
Yeah, I'll make time for this.
Yeah.
Even if-
Okay, maybe I'll try for Thursday,
Okay.
That works fine.
a morning, afternoon.
Whatever we can get worked out.
Yeah, talk to Bobby. I know his dad's sick, so.
Yeah, that's why he is not here tonight. He had to stay with his dad. So Thursday, whatever.
Yes, and since, Tom, we've just learned of this, could you get hold of Jody, please?
I'm not sure Jody can come during the day to the site visit.
Okay,
I'm getting the feeling she works out of town.
okay. Well, if she
Um,
can, at least with the four of us can go.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you, Glenna. Thank you all for coming, and we will be in touch.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. There's no unfinished business. Motion to adjourn, Boza?
I make a motion that we adjourn the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to go on the Planning Commission. Approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we don't have any public comments. New business is the committee report for Sidewalk and Bike Lane Committee. Free.
Okay, that's me. In your packet, let's see, here, let me get to my packet here. Okay, so all the commissioners should have gotten an email in your packet, and I'm just going to read it. This was sent to Lori Jo Smoley in response to my opinions on the sidewalk. And basically, the future depends on what we do in the past and the present. The city's current sidewalks must be addressed in some form. I have attached a small group of current violations of our current city sidewalk ordinances. These, as of this letter, have not been cited in our current public safety issues. But the focus of this feasibility study in East Mountain and Pivot Rock Road, East Mountain Street has 2 speed bumps installed, and the city has reduced the legal speed limit to 15 miles an hour. These actions have increased public safety for pedestrians using the street. If the purpose of installing sidewalks is to provide a safe path for pedestrians, then without sidewalks, we have done this on East Mountain Street. I also believe that the speed bumps on Pivot Rock Road and reducing the legal speed limit to 15 miles an hour will increase pedestrian safety, and after the vehicle traffic speed is reduced, this area will provide the increase of pedestrian public safety, and a sidewalk will not be required. Signed, Ferguson Stewart. I've also included pictures that are those sidewalks in questions of downtown, and everything from just gaping holes in the sidewalk to the actual sidewalk separating from the curb are present, as well as just unlevel surfaces on sidewalks and collapsed sidewalks. And that's my report.
Okay, to tap onto that, Tom, you want to talk about your proposed ordinance?
Yes, we talked about, I guess, presenting this proposed ordinance to I think it was delayed tonight to send this to City Council until we got our feedback on why the City Council has not been enforcing, or the building inspector has not been enforcing the sidewalk repairs. So I would like to go ahead and discuss sending this proposal to City Council as written tonight, and then let them discuss whether they want to adopt it or not.
Nikki?
Okay, I read through this. The first paragraph is fine and it makes sense. The final line says, then the property owner shall be required to make such repairs as a condition of obtaining a building permit, which means the second paragraph is not needed at all. Because the way you've got this worded, since they can't get their building permit until the sidewalk is done, there is no time limit thing. You see what I'm saying?
Well, if they're required to make the repairs as part of getting a building permit, but do not do it, then we have to have something to enforce them
Well,
to make
but
the repairs.
no, you can't tie these in together like this, Tom.
Well, the second part of the ordinance is taken out of the sidewalk ordinance as it exists now.
Right, and this
That's
is...
just the teeth to put in there to make the first one
Yeah, except
enforced.
that this second paragraph is in regards to when the building inspector contacts the property owner and says, you have X amount of days to fix your sidewalk or else. This is the or else. It has nothing to do, and it does not fit getting a building permit. Their time limit on that is if they want a building permit, they've got to get it done. And if they change their mind, decide they're not going to do a building or whatever is that they had planned, that's when the building inspector can say, okay, then in that case, I'm telling you, this is your sidewalk, you must repair it, and you have X amount of days. See, that's two separate issues.
Well, in the first paragraph, if they get a building permit, and in the building permit it says they shall make the repairs, but then they don't make the repairs.
But your whole first paragraph says, prior to issuing a building permit, they must repair the sidewalk. So the whole
They said they
thing,
were required to make the repairs. I can't make them make the repairs. If they decide not to make the repairs and don't do it, then Bobby Ray can say, look, you've got a building permit subject to making repairs. You've not done so.
No, your thing says, before they can issue a building permit, be issued a building permit, they must fix the sidewalk. So in other words, if they don't fix the sidewalk, they don't get a building permit. So if they want a building permit for whatever, they're going to have to fix the sidewalk to the city's specifications, or they don't get to do their building thingy. Like I said, the first paragraph is fine. The second one just isn't needed at all. Their punishment, so to speak, is not getting a permit.
Well, they can get the permit, but they, as a condition of making
No, they
in the
can't.
permit, they are required to make the repairs as a part of getting the building permit.
Not according to your paragraph. Did you write this, or did somebody else?
I
Because-
wrote this, yes.
Okay, because you keep saying they can't get the permit unless the sidewalk is repaired. There is nothing in here that says it's conditional, they'll give them a building permit, but it doesn't say that. It says they don't get a building permit until the sidewalk is done. Like I said, the paragraph is fine. It's very well done.
See, I read this as that they'll be required to make the repairs on the sidewalk, but if they've not been properly repaired, they're going to be subject to a fine until they're fixed.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the second paragraph, that's what that says, but it doesn't tie into the first paragraph.
I would like to make a suggestion, since we don't have the final say on this anyway,
Right. Send it up.
and city council doesn't seem to pass what we send to them anyway, let's go ahead and send this to them. I like it. And let's get some feedback from them.
And I would highly suggest you submit it both ways, as a whole or as a single upper paragraph.
Well, the city attorney's going to have to sign off, assuming the city council approves it, which we don't know what they'll do or not. But the city council is still going to send the city attorney to make the final
Exactly.
draft or whatever, and they can change it how they want to.
Do you want to send this?
Yes.
Let you send it?
Yeah, I like to send it like it is, and
I mean, but do you want to send it, or do you want me to send it?
I like to vote on it as a,
Okay.
Well, no, we're going to vote on it.
okay, yeah. Just
I need a motion.
So I make a motion that we approve the submission of the proposed ordinance that's set forth by Tom to the city council for review.
I can't vote for this with those two paragraphs because they are not adjoining paragraphs. I don't care, I don't mind that it goes before the city council, that's fine, and yeah, who knows what they're going to do.
Yeah, that's how we're
But
voting.
this second paragraph does not comply with the first paragraph. I would highly suggest you submit the first paragraph, and you can question the second paragraph, put that on there. Do you also want, or is this needed? You can put that on there as a suggestion to council that they consider it. But just sending it as a whole without any commentary or separation, no, I can't vote on that. I'm sorry, but I can't. I worked too many decades
Okay.
on the
Okay.
sidewalk ordinance.
Well, Tom, would you have any stipulation of doing two emails or two separate things, just basically stating this is the first paragraph and the second paragraph is is part of the city code? You said that was already part of the city code, so that's really all you're saying, right?
Yes, I'm saying the sidewalks repair section of the city code as it now exists.
Right.
The second paragraph is in there to be sure repairs are made when the
Right.
city contacts the building inspector and contacts the property owners.
Mickey, would you be comfortable if we send this in with the proposed ordinance, the first paragraph, and then Tom goes in there and shows where this is already in code on the
Yeah.
second paragraph?
Yeah,
Okay.
as, like I said, you can just put a note on it to council, since number 2, or the second paragraph, is already part of code, does that need to be put with the top part? That's the thing, because it is already there.
Right.
So you don't normally repeat what's already there anyway, but just let them know, okay, this is our proposal, and this is already in the books.
Tom, what do you
Just point
think?
out.
I don't have a problem taking the second part out, if that's what it takes to get it passed. I think there is something in there now that says if sidewalks are not repaired, there's a penalty. But if Mickey doesn't think it fits with the first paragraph, I'm fine with going with the first paragraph.
Okay. Well, then let me adjust my motion to, I propose a motion that we submit Tom's first paragraph to the city council for review, and,
And I second that.
okay,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right.
Tom, would you like to submit that, send it to the mayor?
Yes,
Get it on the agenda and you can go present it?
sure, be happy to.
Okay. Okay, report on city council presentation. I met with city council. I didn't read it. I mean, they've had it for a couple of months. They didn't have a lot of questions. I kind of told them what we planned on doing, working on some of the codes this year. and left it at that. They didn't send any questions to be answered, so I didn't really get into it. Unfinished.
Wait a minute, which codes are we talking about?
We're talking about the vision plan.
Oh, okay.
But we talked about at the last meeting, the sign code, the tree code that we'd already submitted that hadn't been, I mean, some other things that we're going to try to
Okay.
work on.
Okay.
And I'd like to add, Ann, I was very proud of your presentation to the city council. It was very well done, so thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Okay, unfinished business. We still don't have a date for the public hearing, but we do have a date for Jim Von Toglin. He's going to come June the 24th, which is a Thursday, at 4 o'clock. It'll be an hour and a half session.
Wait a minute. June 24,
June 24th, it's a Thursday at 4 o'clock.
4 p.m. here?
Mhm.
Okay.
The first 30 minutes will be discussion of our vision plan. The second 30 minutes, he will discuss the Airbnbs and what other towns are doing. And the last 30 minutes will be questions. And then hopefully after that presentation, we can set a workshop to discuss if we want to modify our tourist lodging ordinance.
Okay.
Okay, parliamentary procedure rules. For the past couple years, we have used the parliamentary procedure rules that we were given for small meetings at the University of Arkansas gave them to us. Do I have a motion that we would like to use these again?
I would like discussion.
Discussion.
Okay, a motion to discuss the parliamentary rule procedures?
Second?
Okay, Mickey, go ahead.
Trying to find, there's my notes. Okay. I have, with 12 years on council, I've never even heard of this no second and all that kind of stuff. We've always used the small version of Robert's rules, so this is actually new for me. So I went through our paperwork from last time and then the little book and went through and did that. I am going to highly suggest we use seconds for everything.
I'd agree with that.
Okay, I agree.
That's why we have various lawsuits and almost lawsuits going on. So where it says procedure for small boards, okay, let's see. Members may raise a hand instead of rising. Well, Eureka's never risen. So that's a yes. Motions do not need seconds. That should be no. We need the second. There is no limit on the number of times a member may speak. Now, traditionally, that's 3 times. Me being me, go for it.
Right.
I have no problem with that. Informal discussion of a subject is permitted while no motion is pending, and if a proposal is clear to everyone, it can be voted on without a motion. No. I would disagree with that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
With what, yes or no?
I'm okay with that. It has to have
A motion.
a motion.
Right.
Okay, good. In addition, the chair, if he or she is a member, need not rise to put the question, may speak in informal discussions, debate, and vote on all questions. I thought we always did that, because isn't the chair an actual commission member?
Right.
I mean, it's not like an extra person, you know? The chair can even submit his or her own proposals without formally making a motion. No. Well, that one I was confused on. What do they mean on that one in regards to, see, I automatically was thinking agenda. You can, like the mayor can add to the agenda and doesn't need a second. That's what I was thinking. But that's not really what this says.
I don't know. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, why don't we just disregard that? If you want to have a proposal, get a second.
I agree with that.
Okay.
So we're saying motions do need seconds.
Yes.
We are saying It cannot be voted on without a motion,
Right?
and we are striking the chair can even submit his or her own proposals without formally making a motion.
Right.
Okay?
Works for me.
Do I have a motion?
So I make a motion that we approve the amended booklet of Robert Rules of Order as described.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yay.
Okay. Election of secretary. Since Bob Thomas has resigned, we need a secretary.
Still can't believe that.
Nikki?
No. Hey, I'm on the cemetery commission. I'm supposed to be secretary treasurer. I can do money. I am not doing notes.
Let me
Read my
explain,
own.
let me explain what the secretary does before you say no. Okay? Let me explain what the secretary does. You call roll at the meeting, and you sign off on anything I sign off on, and that's it.
That's it.
You swear to God?
I
Yeah.
swear.
I did secretary last year, so no,
That's it.
Okay, now this is being recorded.
that's right. It's being recorded.
Okay. In
So
that
I
case-
nominate Mickey for secretary.
And I second it.
Ooh, we don't have 4 people if I don't vote for myself.
Well, she can vote for herself.
You can vote for yourself.
That's right.
Yes, I can.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I begrudgingly.
Congratulations, Mickey.
Congratulations, Mickey.
So I call the roll and I sign
And if
whatever.
I
That's right,
sign something,
yeah.
I'll have you sign it and you give it back to me.
That's right.
Oh, Lord, okay.
Okay, commissioner comments, I would like to start.
Go ahead.
This is Glenna's last meeting.
Yes. Where's Glenna? Glenna.
We
Stand-
thank you
stand
so
up and take a
much for
bow.
everything you have done for us. We will miss you.
We need you to make you a member of, hey, you
Oh,
live here.
hey.
We
need a
have,
member
we have
of the
a
planning
couple of
commission.
empty seats, Glenna. Hey, I tried that. I'm on 2 commissions now.
We only meet once a month.
Yeah, it's once a month. Come on.
And see, and you're on the other one that I'm on, and that's once a month. There you go.
Yeah, we'll start bringing candy.
What?
No.
Tom, you have anything?
On public comments?
Commissioner comments?
There was an article in the paper last week. Fayette was now trying to deal with the tourist lodging in residential areas in Fayetteville. And this came up about a year and a half ago, and they had a lot of complaints about Airbnbs. And some people were complaining that they were having block parties kind of in the neighborhood during the football games with basically tourist lodging that was not regulated. So the police would do nothing a year and a half ago. They said it was just not enough. They didn't have enough policemen to do this, and they kind of just ignored it. Well, now the city is trying to adopt an ordinance about tourist lodging in Fayetteville, and they broke it down, I think, in a level 1 and level 2, depending on what part of the city it's in. And they discussed in that article in the paper at the city council meeting about the impact it would have. There were, of course, pros and cons. One of the cons was, well, you're going to take affordable housing out of circulation because you can also make a lot more money on a tourist lodging than you can renting your house by the year. And that was discussed at length at that meeting. But it is becoming a bigger issue around the state than it initially been. And of course, it impacts some towns also more than others. Fayette was, I guess, similar to us. It's football weekends or whatever. And the rest of the year, they've now got the Bentonville with the Crystal Bridge and all that. They're getting a lot more tourists in. So it is becoming a bigger issue now. So, that's the only thing I'd say.
Mickey, you have anything to say?
I resign. No. I nominate Glenna to join us. No, I guess I'm good for now.
Okay. Yeah, one thing I do want to say is a tribute to Glenna. Wow. If you look in the ad they put in the paper for Glenna's replacement, it's half a page.
Oh, my.
And that's only half the job she does. So, yeah, Glenna, outstanding work. I've been very proud of your work, and I've been just awed in your abilities. So thank you for your service to the community, and thank you for the Services Planning Commission.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion adjourned.
You made your first
Second.
motion. And
Oh.
he seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Oh, gosh.